Hey guys, welcome. It's Marcy, the Cranky Crafter. It's Fodder Friday. We have made it to another Friday. And let me tell you, it has been a week. So today we're going to be making something quite simple. I am just getting back to town from taking the youngest kid back to college. So I'm trying to get caught up on videos and watching everybody's videos and my chores and life. And I've got the eldest and the grandbabe coming this weekend, and so yeah, I've got a lot going on. I've got a lot of plates going on in the air. I'm trying to keep them all spinning. So I don't know if you guys remember this spread from, well, I don't put the dates on these, but it's been some time. But we're going to make these fun flowers, florals. And this I took from, I can't talk today, you guys. My brain is fried. Inspiration from EB Mixed Media, Erin Bishop over on her channel. She makes some similar to this. I think I've done it a little bit differently, but to be honest, I haven't watched the video in a really long time, hers, so I can't quite say what I've done differently compared to what she has. So if you want to see hers, definitely go to her channel and check it out. I'll link her channel below, but these are what we're going to make. So they're really simple, and I have a few that I've already done. So this orange one I made with the other batch of orange ones that you saw in the journal. And then these pink ones I just made. So something to keep in mind is we're going to be using like collage papers or jelly prints or painted papers, whatever you want to call them. That's what we're going to use to make the actual florals and the leaves. We're going to be cutting them out to get the shapes that we want. And then we're just gluing them on to paper. You'll see how this all works out as we go along. But they get kind of floppy because the weight of, adding the colored papers make them a little bit floppy. So what I've used this time to glue these on is just like a step up from copy paper. I think this was like a 28-pound. It's what I use when I print out like digital collections, when I don't want actual cardstock. But I think because they're so floppy, I'm gonna make them on cardstock this time, just so that we can see the difference on how they hold up. Realistically, it doesn't matter that they're very wilty, because you're going to be gluing this probably onto a card or an art journal spread or, something. I doubt that you're just going to, you could, I guess, make a whole bouquet of them and give them as a bouquet to someone. That would still be fun, but you might not get the desired effect by using this 28-pound paper. So we're going to try it on, I have cardstock here, and we're going to see, what the difference is. I think the reason, well, this one still is a little bit floppy, but I think the reason it's not as so, because one, it's shorter, I made it shorter, but also because it's kind of evenly weighted up here with the flowers close together, whereas these, are not. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But what you're going to need is some kind of paper to glue on. Use whatever you have. Don't go out and buy something new. Just use what you've got. And then you're going to need some, whether it's jelly prints or collage paper or, even like background paper that you've done like other artwork on that's just left over and you couldn't quite throw it away. You just want something that's going to have color to it. right? Like you don't want something that's white because that's not really gonna help. So just, you know, go through your stuff and see what you have. Like this is the one that I made the pink ones from. See what you've got. A lot of these collage papers I have from Michelle with a single L, because she sells them in her shop and they're amazing. But you can use, like if you're going for a certain color theme, find something in your stash that you think will be cool. And you're also going to want potentially something that has greens. So like this would work for the leaves. And or not. If maybe you want leaves that are, you know, bright colors, and that's totally fine too. You do you. I'm going to set that one out though because I think that'll make fun leaves. And then we need something for, let's see, something for, let's just do, should we do one of these? Let's do this red one. That'll be fun for the flowers. But you could do like this would be cool because it's like blues and whites. This would make a good one for the leaves because it's, you know, green. This one would be cool for, let's set that one out because that would make cool flowers, I bet. All right, let's get going. Let's get going. So, whoops. I'm going to, I'll set the paper, the cardstock aside just for now. So what we're going to do is use a circle punch. I'm using a circle punch. I think this, yes, mine is a 2-inch, but you use whatever size you have. You don't have to have a circle punch. You can just trace around something round and then cut it out. I have a circle punch, so I'm going to make life easier for myself and do the circles. This is what's going to make our flowers. I just want to make sure I'm getting the whole thing. And you could do multiple colors of flowers. You know, like you could do one purple and one red. You'll understand more as we work through this. It's hard to visualize probably right now. Whoa. Okay, we'll start with that. And then my desk is a mess already and we haven't even started. And then for the leaves, I'm going to use this one for my leaves. I don't have a good punch for the size that I would like my leaves to be. If you have a punch, I would recommend for efficiency to use a punch. But if you don't, find something round. So I have this little bottle cap or something. I got it out of like my art journal like bag of tools and stuff. So what I'm going to do, instead of trying to trace around this, I'm just actually going to use my black ink pad and dip this into my ink pad. I find that it's easier to do this bit on the white side just because you can see it better. So I'm just going to put it in the ink pad and then I'm going to make a circle. And it does not have to be complete, just so long as you get the idea of where you need to cut. And that's that. That is that. And then you're going to cut around the circle. Not a big deal if you don't get it completely round. These are going to become the leaves. And we all know that nature is beautiful regardless of its level of perfection, right? So don't get hung up on the fact that it doesn't, if you don't get it cut out exactly a circle. In fact, if you don't want to make these circles to do this, you can make any kind of leaf that you want, right? You could even cut in here and make a leaf shape and use that as your leaf. I didn't cut that all the way to the end. But you could use that as your leaf if you didn't want to follow suit with what I'm doing. This is what's great about this, is you do it how you like it. What, you know, speaks to you. Okay, so I got my cardstock back out, and we have our circles that we punched out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half. You could cut them not perfectly in half, and then you're going to have two different sized flowers, right? In fact, I can do that. So like this isn't exactly in half. So now we have our two blooms that we're going to use. And we'll do the same with this purple one. And for this one, I'm going to leave it larger. In fact, I'm just going to cut this white bit off. And that's going to be my bloom. We'll set this red one aside. We'll see how many we need. And then the same thing for the littler circles that you did to be the leaves. Just cut them, you know, in half or close to half, or however you'd like it to be, because these are going to serve as our leaves. And again, you don't have to use ones that have green in them. Maybe you want like fall colors and you want these to be orange, or you want them to be like a mustardy yellow. Have fun with it. So then what you're going to do next is kind of lay out your flowers. I like to have two on a stem, like kind of like how we see this. I like to have them kind of joined together, but you can make single ones. There's nothing stopping you from making single ones. The thing is that you don't get a ton of them on here, which I don't really mind, but you know, if you're trying to conserve paper, you might want to like squish them. See, because you probably could get another set of them over here too. Is this starting to come together to make sense yet? I know I have to visually see things before my brain is like, oh, okay, I see what you mean now. Okay, so I'm going to use a glue stick. This is a Scotch Create. I don't really have a preference for glue stick. I pretty much just use whatever I have. And these were sent to me, pretty sure by my mother-in-law. So that's what I'm using. Okay, I got my glue, my little glue book thing over here. So we're just gonna glue the back, and then you're gonna place this down, glue it on there. Same thing. And you can angle it, you know, however you would like it to be. You could probably even, if you wanted to do like a third one and have a flower on that side, totally do that. And then we'll put one like that. Okay, so we have our flowers on there. Now what I find I like to do next is to make the stems. I just have a jelly roll pin here. You could use whatever you want. You could use a Posca, you could use a fine liner, basically any. I use black, but again, whatever color. So I kind of try to find the middle of, you know, what I think the little circle is, and then I just make a stem. And then I make this one kind of so that it meets there, like it's, you know, branching off. And then I'll come down here and make like a little half circle and color it in. And then I'm gonna make little, what are those called? Stamen? I don't know, might be totally making that up. Like that. And same thing for the other side. And you decide how many you want them to have. As many, as few, like that. Then we're gonna do the same thing on this one. Kind of try to find your middle and bring it down. And same thing over here, like that. And then make your little, that part, that's a little bit uneven. A little bit willy-nilly. Totally fine. And then do this bit again. And you can make these longer if you want. Like maybe the flowers have bigger stamens. If they're not called stamens, I apologize, but for this video, that's what we're calling them. Okay, so now we're gonna do the leaves. I just kind of like to lay them out first, just so I can see, get an idea. It's really all what you like in your head of how it looks. And then I'll probably put another one up here. Now, we had this kind too, which I only cut one of, but you see how you could do that as well? And that totally looks fun too, having them actual leaf shape. These were just, I was keeping like with the circle theme. It's kind of more abstract, but you could totally do your leaves like that if you want. I like both. I like both. Just for the record. And depending on your whatever, you know, either hole punch or rando tool like I used, whatever, is going to determine the size of your leaves. You could make them smaller. You could make them, you know, bigger. Bigger actually would be kind of fun. They would have like a, I don't know. I lean towards whimsy with all the things that I I do, I think. So not having like good proportions kind of makes sense to me. And then really we just go around and trace them. Something that I thought of though is if you didn't want to cut these out when they're all done, you could totally use this as like a journal page, right? Just fold it in half and then you'd have your double-sided page. You could do something extra up here if you wanted. But you could put this in like, you know, like I'm doing my nature journal. I could totally put this as background paper in my nature journal. You could do that. Didn't get enough glue on that one. You could make these on, you know, a smaller scale and make them right into like cards to send out. You don't have to cut them out is what I'm saying. So we could do another one. Should we try to see if we can fit another one? I don't know if we can or not. Let's try it. I'm just using the extra bits that I have. Let's see, can we do something? I think we need it. Maybe like that. We'll see if we have space. Well, I'm pretending that we have space because as you can tell, I'm just going right in and gluing it on. This glue is a little stringy. That's what I'm noticing. It works fine, but it's a little bit stringy. So now these are more upright. I suppose you don't even need to do this little black bit. It kind of like weights it down to me, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I'm going with it. So we drove the kid back. We loaded up 2 vehicles, drove the youngest kid back to college. I need to put the leaves on. Guys, I almost forgot the leaves. And getting there was fine. We lucked out because there weren't like a bajillion stairs to navigate to get into his apartment. I had, my husband and I were dreading the idea of having like 3 flights of stairs because that's what it was at his dorm when he stayed in a dorm last year. Okay, so now we're going to just outline them. I like mine, you know, a little bit loose, but you can keep it super tight next to the flower if you want, like that. I kind of usually come back a couple times. And then the same thing for the leaves. Like that. And don't worry about this. If you don't like how that white bit is there, you can cut up closer when you cut it out. If you're cutting it out. If you're not cutting it out, then you're going to have to like that bit. Because there it is. Look, and I just drew right on top of the paper. I don't mind. So yeah, this time it was like, it's hard to describe, but we walked in at like ground level, even though he had a higher numbered apartment. Does that make any sense at all? Probably not, because I don't even, it's like, if you can imagine like what, do you guys have like, around here they're called daylight basements. So it's kind of like you can walk out of the basement outside, as opposed to like going into a house and going downstairs and you're in the basement and then everything is above you. This is the reason why Marcy's not an architect, because those things probably made absolutely no sense the way I described it. End of the story is we didn't have stairs. So this mom and dad were extremely thankful for that. Okay. All right, let's try to cut these out. And you know what? You could come back in. You could do splatters on top of this. You know I'm a huge splatter fan, so that would be fun. But this time we're just going to cut out. So I'm going to cut them a little bit closer in size first, and then whoa. It kind of reminds me of like, what's that sewing that you do that's like, is it applique? Where it's like putting pieces of fabric on top of fabric and then using like big, maybe like blanket stitches or something to that effect. All right, don't listen to me, you guys, because I probably don't know what I'm talking about. I can already tell this is standing up a lot better. So if you want more body to your flowers, I think cardstock is going to be the way to go. We managed to do some book drops to the little free libraries while we were there, and that's always fun. I love being able to go out and share books with other libraries, especially ones that don't have a lot in their libraries. But we found this really fun little free library that was a robot. Some people go all out with their little free libraries. Ours just looks like our house, kind of. But some people make them in any number of shapes and whatever. And this one was a robot, and it was super fun. And you opened up its belly. That's how you got to the books. I can imagine that kids thought that was super great. There's one. Holds up holds up somewhat better. Let's see. I think yeah, see, it does hold up. It's not as wilty, but they're still top heavy. So just try to remember that, I guess. Still a little bit top heavy. And then on the way back, what should have been, you know, a 4-ish hour drive, oh my word, turned into over 7 hours. They were doing some construction and basically went down from 3 lanes to 1. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, that was just a nightmare. So yeah, we ended up returning the rental car late because we had added in like buffer time for traffic. There's absolutely no way that we could have anticipated it taking an additional 3+ hours. So yeah, that was unfortunate. So we had to pay extra for the vehicle that we had rented. But, you know, you do the best you can. These can be a little fiddly to cut out. So just, you know, take your time and maybe make a stack of them if you want to, and then watch some videos while you're doing some fussy cutting. Didn't cut that one all the way. Oh, brother. Sometimes I'm afraid I'm going to cut off the whole stem. There's number 2. And then we have our purple one. I don't know if you watched previous videos, but we are having a huge wasp problem. I don't know, we might have to actually call somebody out to help us. We did get like a wasp, what are they called? Traps, I guess. And we hung it out there. Because the thing is that they want to congregate right near the chicken coop. And they're not friendly critters. And I'm in and out of the chicken coop quite often. So having them, you know, so close where I'm quite active just gets under my skin a little bit. Anyway, we hung a trap. And we have managed to get quite a few, but there still is quite a swarm of them on the coop that just don't seem interested at all in the trap. So I'm wondering if maybe they're like a specific kind that the trap is not good for. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I don't like it and they need to go away. Yeah, so here we have it. These are our little flower guys. And you could, you know, put these in your art journal like I did for this last spread. I kind of used it as the background and I just put a bunch of them in there. You can make cards with them. You could, like I showed you, make it into its own, you know, journal page. Whatever you do with them, they're going to be super fun. And the colors are just infinite possibilities based on what you have in your stash of your painted papers or whatever papers that you have just to use up, right? They could, I can't even begin to imagine the number of colorways that you could choose. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please give me a like and a subscribe if you did. That would be super helpful. I am so close to 500 subscribers. And I'm going to try to do a giveaway when I get there. I haven't quite figured out all the details yet, but that's kind of my plan, is to do something like that. So yeah. So hopefully you guys like this. And if you have other ideas for Fodder Friday, please leave them in the comments. I usually do a lot of watercolor, but every once in a while I do something completely different. So here we go, and I'll see you next time.